Shajil, welcome to the show. Let's dive in.
Thank you very much for having me over.
So, Shajil, let's start by defining staff augmentation. What does it really mean for the startups, the organizations who are reached out by companies like us? What does it really mean for them?
Okay, I think traditionally staff augmentation has been there from past, I would say couple of decades and all, but the market has seen a real surge during COVID times. So and now I think it has grown many folds, and the future is looking pretty bright for staff augmentation. But I think people have not really got the grasp of it in a much more strategic way, I would say, because traditionally, whenever there was kind of a gap in any project or product development, it was kind of a makeshift arrangement. So you are working on a project and there is a gap in it, so you immediately want someone to be there to just write the code, right? But I think over the years, especially after COVID, since it's been like 5 years or so I think it has grown more, and now it has become a much more strategic shift, I would say, right? So it's the relationship between a client or a software development company who is providing these staff augmentation services. It's not going to be that transactional, that it's not about filling the gap. It's all about it should be it has become, I would say, that it's a more of a strategic shift, and it should be a growth mindset from the client's perspective, that if you want to really build your teams using these staff augmentation or team augmentation services, so I think it has become much more strategic in nature rather than just filling in the gap.
So you're primarily focusing on small to medium business enterprises.
That's right.
Small to medium businesses.
Correct.
And one of the insight is that these guys are always pressed with time and funding as well. Do they really understand that now the partner that they need to approach has to have this mindset of a strategic partnership? Because in my experience, generally when they come, it's more of transactions. Give us a developer, who's the team, how does it move forward? Do the customer itself understands this?
But I think, especially when you talk about startups, so they are always, pushed by the budgets and timelines. So in some cases, in some instances, I would say that there is a realization of having a strategic tech partner rather than someone who's just sitting there coding and just committing the bills, right? So I think it has changed, it is evolving. It's not there yet, but I'm pretty sure that it is the future, because without if you are building certain product, and if I don't know what that product would be in future, who is the end consumer or user of that product, so I need to understand the whole ecosystem of the product development, the brand itself, and any developer should know where the whole ecosystem of that product, where it will be in future once you are ready with your go-to-market strategy. So I think there is a lot of realization now, but again, since we come under this outsourcing market arena, so there is a kind of a, how I can put it, I think they have this pre-notion, this thought of having a cost-effective plug-and-play kind of a solution all the time, right? But I think going forward, the future would be towards more of a embedded partnerships, strategic partnerships, rather than just transactional activities, or I would say just a simple project, right?
Right. So putting a pulse on that. See. Yes, there is a customer who comes to you and he's absolutely paying a price for the service they want. They still need to cover that journey and understand that, companies now, the future of outsourcing is just not about transactional approach. It's about actually adding that value of a partnership. So, are they willing to pay that premium for partnership, or how do you price it for your customer that they still fit into that scale of being price sensitive, yet they get that value?
Yeah, so it really depends. I think that that's the kind of mindset where the clients are getting onto now. But again, it varies from client to client. But as a brand, TechWorks always tries to we have certain SOPs and standards, and we always try our level best to build those strategic partnership rather than just transactional relationship. So our modus operandi is always adding value, responsiveness and flexibility in our terms of engagement with our clients.
Right. So let's talk about the current state, because I think what we've discussed right now is the future state, and that's the journey that not only TechWorks but an industry, and especially the industry within the back offices, which are in the subcontinent region, need to travel, where they actually educate, invest in experiences for their customers to understand that this is just beyond setting up your development team. Is more of a partnership. So what for the current state, what are the startups or scale ups looking for when they come to a company for team or staff augmentation? What should they be actually looking for, and what they are looking for?
I think just to answer that question, it is at the surface level. I would say that what I have experienced so far, because we've met a lot of clients, and we have done a lot of prospecting, and we meet a lot of people every day. So I think the one thing which is very important for them is responsiveness, the speed, how you react, how responsive you are as a service provider and all. And then they look at how flexible you can be, whether it comes to the timelines you are giving, the people you are giving, and even the kind of value you want to give to them. So I think at top of my head and on the surface level, it would be responsiveness, that is speed, then the flexibility, and the value you can give. But I think there is much more deeper than that, and that is basically it's all about what they are trying to figure out is the certainty of their project, of their product,
Yeah.
right? So they need to be certain whenever they are in touch with any service provider. What they're trying to figure out is that how certain I can be of this partnership, right? So that is something which is, when you really deep dive into their insights, that's something you can get out of it.
I think that's a very good point, and I think this is what I've been experiencing up till now. That when startups actually come, they let's call it casually the window shopping. So
Yeah.
they're doing that.
Absolutely.
I think enough of taking that conversation from a service provider perspective, and let's now go to that the other side of the table where the prospect or the customer sits. I think one common problem, or let's say a pain point that I have felt over time, is that most of them are generally struggling with funding, or they're probably looking for the best proposal to take forward and then go to their funding or VC funding or whatever investor that they're looking for. Don't you think that they should be prepared before they come? Is it becoming like an industry practice? And where does it really pushes the patience of the service provider?
I think it is what it is, and most of the time, obviously, we really delve into these kind of situations where a prospect is generally looking for a proposal so that they can go to their investors and get the funding and all. So the market has become like that, but obviously, it really depends in which arena you are actually playing. If you are, targeting more of a enterprise or corporate customers, so the situation is altogether different over there. But talking about startups in that arena, I think this has to change a bit. And how it will change, in my opinion, I think the mindset of, in this tech industry of staff augmentation or team augmentation or fixed price project, I think the mindset is of delivery. But I think the whole world, it's challenging times everywhere. Whether you talk about North America or Southeast Asia, the whole industries are kind of pushed by higher cost of doing businesses and all, right? So I think the way forward is and should be the change of mindset from a delivery focus to a more of an outcome focus. So if I want to partner with someone who can be as responsible as I am or as accountable as I am, rather than just being happy with the delivery of the code and the product. So I think it's all about the outcome focus. So if you can bring that to the table, that can be a game changer for the market.
Right. And speaking of regions and talent,
Yeah.
So let me put you in a tougher spot. How would you rate the global talent now, today, in terms of its geographical placement, starting from North America and coming all the way down to Southeast Asia? So, we are covering continents now. So, the tough spot here is that you need to now rank these guys. That how would you put it? And why so?
I think honestly, now it doesn't really matter because over the years the code quality has improved, and you can find really good developers in North America or South America or even Southeast Asia. So development is there. I think the game changer is to understand the whole ecosystem. And with this, because we are living in information age, all these developers, all these engineers, they are pretty apt with all the information and what is happening in the Western world. They do follow the pop culture, right? They are much more aware of their music or their sports and what happened.
They're exposed. They're very much exposed to the world itself, and then
So I think what we try here at Techverx, that we obviously we try to hire we have a very stringent recruitment process, and we really look into these personality traits of interpersonal skills and how culturally adaptable they are. So coming back to your question, I think the real game changer is the understanding of your client and their culture nuisance, how they're operating, their Slack culture, their stand-up culture, how they take these overview meetings and status updates and everything. So these days the new talent which we are getting, they are pretty apt with this knowledge at overall level. So I think
so from being proactive, what you're looking for is somebody who's highly proactive.
Absolutely.
So proactive is like being the norm now.
Yeah.
But the new norm
proactive and code quality it's given. I can't say that I have the best quality developers, but I think that is something which is given already. So now you need to build over and above that. You have to package yourself in such a way that your developers would understand your business strategically from the code till the go-to market and to the consumer end, and then they need to have all this knowledge about your culture and the trends which are happening. And when you talk about different clients, every client has a different company culture, right? So some people are really apt with their I would say Slack culture, that they want continuous updates all the time. So we try our level best to understand that culture in first 30 days of when we recruit a new client, and so that's called an incubation period at our end.
So it sounds like plug and play. So that's the aim that you're trying to say, plug and play. But don't you think, like, fine, you get people ready and put them in such a process where they become plug and play.
Yeah.
How does churn affects all of that effort that you're doing, because the global demand, as we said, is going to grow and is growing year on year. How is that really going to impact your efforts then? And what do companies really need to do? I mean, we've heard a lot about this brain drain also happening, and then talent needs to be acquired. So how are you going to manage all of that?
So what actually we here at Techverx we try to do is that we really want, and we are really trying to build this kind of a culture that this is the place to be. This is the place to we take a lot of pride in being part of this whole brand, the Techverx itself, right? So what we say and what we try to achieve is that the moment anybody enters into this building, right? So we try to give them that kind of environment that they have entered in US rather than sitting here in Pakistan. So all our processes, our environment, the way we offer even food to our employees, that has some kind of a we have
Element
tried
of
to
culture.
element of cultural change. So that's where you can put in a lot of effort. But I think it's an ongoing effort altogether. You can't say that we have achieved, we are there, but it's a journey.
So I'm gonna go back a bit and talk about the startups.
Yeah.
And when they are reached out either by companies to fulfill their needs in development of their software, and then going into how they want to select their teams. Do they want to go for a team augmentation or a staff augmentation? In most cases, even a fixed price project, which requires an equally healthy team or a quality team.
Yeah.
But then, what are those red flags that you would want to highlight to the startup, that while they are on a recce, or let's say, again, going back to that a more casual word of saying window shopping, what are the red flags that they should be looking at to accelerate their efforts as well? Because there's a lot of time that those guys are investing. Anybody who wants to build a team or augment a team, there's immense amount of time that they're spending. So how do you suggest, or what recommendations would you put that they should be able to highlight those red flags?
Sure. I think it's a pretty good question, I would say, because most of the time when people, as you said, window shopping for the right partner and they're looking for the right fit, obviously this outsourcing market has this idea of getting the best value or cost, I would say. For that, there is a plethora of people out there who works in a much more unorganized way. I call them the unorganized sector, but they are basically freelancer, right? So
I hope they don't get offended.
I'm so sorry.
Because I think they're equally contributing, and I think
they are
the level of competition that they're adding to pull up our socks.
Definitely. I mean,
there's a lot of quality freelancer out there. But yes, again, I would probably second you that they're more of the gray market, I would say.
Absolutely.
Because the kind of cost that organizations are paying, the taxation, and so much investments to carry this culture, is something that, as you said, is being missed out. And that's probably one of the most important things that any startup looking for a partner should look at.
No, absolutely. But I think at the end of the day, we are thankful to them as well, because they really keep us on toes all the time, and we have to come up with better processes and SOPs to operate in this. And so everybody is kind of contributing altogether to the industry. But what the point I was trying to make earlier was that
on the red flags.
On the red flags, right? So they need to be.
So, I mean, let's be candid. I mean, fine. I mean, if one of the red flags is that even if somebody is going to a freelancer, I'm sure there are a lot of checks.
So they need to be,
somebody should do a background check, go to Clutch, go to good firms, and look
so I think
for those.
the easiest red flag would be that people would try their level best to promise you all the stars and the moon in the world. So you need to be wary of that. That do they have this capability or even experience of providing that kind of outcome for your project? So I think these kind of huge promises that is something they need to look for. That's number one. Number two, I think most of the time, the estimation part of, especially when it comes to the fixed price projects, their timelines are vague, their estimations are vague. So people really need to double check it from different sources, and they need to do their research all the time just to understand whatever they are proposing, that is up to the mark or not, and would they be able to actually deliver that or not. And thirdly, I would say that what I've observed is that people use either the organized sector or unorganized sector. They have this concept of boilerplates. So boilerplate proposals, one size fits all proposals. So so you need to see that how customized the proposal A is, right? They have understood your business. How can be they can be added strategic partnership into your team as well. So you need to you be wary of all these factors, and all these are the red flags when choosing a outsourcing partner, and that's what I think.
I think that's good insight, and I think that's a very clear pointers that you've set out on the table for anybody who's listening to this show as a startup or is looking for a partner. I think these are the few things that they must look at. But I'd like to actually probably add one more point.
Yeah.
I think one of the important things is that whenever you're looking for a partner, I believe that they should look at the people working for that organization, the leadership, because I think they add a lot of credibility. Where do they come from? What experiences are they adding or bringing to the table? I think those few things are very, very important, and oftentimes they're overlooked. In my experience, every time I talk to any of the prospects, they generally are just looking at either a capability statement or the email that they receive from us and exploring. And I think there's ample of information about the people who are running the company, who are part of that. So they bring a lot of credibility. So I think that is a very important area that they must look into and not leave it alone.
Absolutely. I think obviously leadership plays a vital role in shaping up any organization. So that is a green signal, I would say. And then, if you talk about like green signal, what to look for, I would say that one is obviously the people who are working there, the leadership, what's their input, I would say, in the industry, and what's their experience, what they have brought onto the table, right?
Yes.
That is one part. But the second would be, in my opinion, that because most of us we play in this startup arena, right? So a client, as I said earlier, that they want to build this trust, and there is a journey from starting very small, prove your worth and mental, and then willingness to go big. So the strategic understanding of your client's product itself, and the business and the brand, and then comes that you're willing to start small, and then you can prove, and then you can grow onto that. So I think this is something which definitely can help,
or should be like a checklist. And that's
definitely
what they should be looking at. So now I'll move towards the end of our conversation, but before we part ways, I think one important question that I'd like to ask is that where do you see the outsourcing industry in the next 3 to 5 years? Because it's going to grow. We know that. Will it be the challenges that you will face from the quality of resource, the competition building up, the perception, the macro or micro environment of a country? What are those factors which will really?
So I think I personally think that this industry will grow for sure, but now I think outsourcing needs to be taken as a strategic advantage. because as I previously said that it's all about filling in the gap. It was previously like that traditionally, right? But now it's, I think, the companies needs to take this into account, that outsourcing is not about filling in the gap. It's all about creating and embedding a partner into your team and get that strategic advantage. It's more of a growth mindset, from a gap filling mindset to a growth mindset. So the I think the future of outsourcing and staff augmentation, whatever you may want to call it, but I think it's all about strategic partnerships, not the transactional mindset or activities one off. So I think that would be a biggest game changer for companies who are outsourcing and for the service providers as well. So if you want to really stand out and stay unique to your brand's ethos, I think you really need to build this long-term partnership
Mindset.
mindset into your teams and
And
into your
I think
brand.
this mindset should not be just at the top leadership. This is something
Everywhere. It should trickle down
Cut
from the
across.
top to bottom in
Yeah.
all your processes,
Yeah.
in all your workflows. How you can really embed yourself, and you can how you can be the right fit for your clients. So I think that is should be a 360-degree mindset change.
Right. That was very, very insightful. And I think this was a very timely conversation we had, because we see that things are going to be growing. Shajil, thank you so much for taking some time out and talking about both sides, the client side and the agency side, I would say, or let's say the dev side. And I think a lot of pointers are out there. People should really look into these things, and there's a lot of value that you have actually spoken about. So once again, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And let's see what the next discussion Blend will bring to its followers. Thank you so
Perfect.
much.
Thank you very much for having me over.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kamal.